We're very privileged to have both Kusum and Mohkam Singh, all the way from Delhi, to be with us for this Sahavas. They're a little background about them. They're both from very old and distinguished Indian families, and so that has actually helped out some with the Delhi group. She met Baba as a little girl in 1953. She won't tell me how old she was then, but she was a little girl in 53. And every year, from 53 to 65, her family would go to see Baba. That sounds very precious. I'd like everyone to give a warm welcome to Kusum Singh.
Now, as you all know, I came to Baba through my parents. So I would have to tell you something about my father and mother. My mother's story, many of you must have read in this book called It So Happened. It's a book by Bill Page, I think. Yeah, Bill Page. And the first story is about my mother. It was published about 8 years ago. And people who see Baba movies, they must have seen my mother performing Baba's Arti every time in all the gathering. So it was through her and my father that I met Baba in 1953. Baba was our neighbor. We were really lucky. Baba had taken 2 houses, one for the Mandli and one for himself and the ladies' Mandli, just next to my parents' house. And there was a tree, a bamboo tree, which blossoms after 100 years, and after that the tree dies. And it has beautiful white blossoms, very fragrant, and my father used to take my mother to see those flowers every day, because that was the time when our family was really going through a terrible suffering. It was very, very sad days with my family, with my mother and my father, because my older sister had died in a childbirth. And that was also the year when all the states were nationalized. My father, my family, my ancestors ruled for 700 years in an area between the Himalayas and the Ganges. Very beautiful area. We had about 500 small towns and 120 square miles of forest, lovely forest. That's why I feel so much at home when I see all these beautiful trees. And I would rather be in a place like this than to be in big cities. It's so beautiful. So when our country got independence, all these princely states were taken away. And on top of that, they had pulled out some old files and they wanted my father to pay some old income tax, which actually wasn't the right thing to do. And later on he was fighting the case and eventually he won the case. But not so much as for the material loss, but for the loss of my sister, that my family was going through a very sad period. And Baba, being the Lord, he knows whoever is suffering, he goes to him and puts a balm of his love on the wounds. Because my mother is a very, very nice person, a very sweet and gentle person, and she prayed to God till she was 5 years of age. And she'd never used to eat or drink anything till she'd finished her prayers. So when this blow came to her, the loss of my sister's death, she had become totally skeptical and she's lost all faith in God. But Baba was God and Baba would not let that happen to her. So he came to her. There was a friend of my mother who told her about Baba. And she said that Baba, in strict seclusion, which Baba was in 53, It was soon after the new life and this fiery free life, and Baba was only meeting the very close mandli and very close people who he had some work with, and also going out to Rishikesh and Hardwar to meet masts. So this friend of my mother said that her daughter had come from Calcutta and she's waiting to see Baba for last 15 days, but Baba has not given permission. So my mother said, oh, there's no God and all these Babas, they're all frauds. She didn't know what that she was going to meet. So she said, well, you are so much in pain, why don't you go to him and I'll try to get an appointment for you. And my mother said, no, I don't care. And she was all the time weeping and crying, and me and my brother, we were also very upset, very disturbed. We were going to school, and we used to tell her that, why don't you love us as much as you loved her? And she said, I love you, but I can't help myself. So she'd lost all interest in the household affairs. Of course, that time we used to have about 10, 12 servants, 5, 6 maid servants, 5, 6 other servants. So my father and my mother, when they used to go for a walk and see this tree blossoming next to that house where Baba was staying, they used to meet sometimes money and all, making baskets, because that was the time Baba said to them that whatever you earn, you can spend that. And so they were making baskets to sell, and they used to be bedul and sometimes pendu, and then Mani had small dogs, a terrier, and she would take them out on a road, and we would see that these funny looking people, they don't belong to Dehra Dun. Dehra Dun is a very small town. Now, of course, after the partition of the country, it's become, there are lots of people there. But before that, people practically knew each other, and they knew who was living where and all the neighborhood. So those people were total strangers. And Dr. Gohar, of course, was also going out for a walk, and once the dog came inside our compound, and like I see in so many houses in America, there were no fences. And even Baba used to come from one house to the other, there was no fence, they just cut a small path, Baba used to walk on that. So we all started becoming very interested in those strange looking people. They didn't belong to Dehra Dun. And they were walking, and somebody making baskets, and they had pets, and we always had pets in our household, so we got to talking to them, and my mother started becoming very friendly with Dr. Gohar. So one fine evening they went, just after a walk in the evening, they went to the house where Baba was staying. It was all dark, and Baba had a horse called Shiba. That time somebody had presented that horse in Banaras during this new life period, and Baba had brought the horse, and there was this matting all around that house, so that nobody could peep in. As I said earlier, there were no fencing, nothing. So they put this matting, bamboo matting, all around the house, and there was a big bell of brass. Anybody who wanted to come in there to ring that bell. So anyway, my father and my mother, they were peeping through that, and they heard a horse running in, and they said, they were quite taken aback, what is this horse doing here? So behind that there was another man running after this horse, and that was gardener who was looking after the horse in the garden. So he saw them standing over these matting. He said, what are you doing here? You're not supposed to be here. So my father said, what is this horse doing here? I thought there was some religious group, some Baba is staying here. He said, yes, Baba is there, but you go away. Baba doesn't see anyone. Just at that time, there was a kind of a porch, like this stage, but more than about 10, 12 steps, much higher in front of the house where Baba was staying. Baba came out and put the light on, and since he was so high, he could see my parents standing there, and did like that to them. And my mother was so happy. She said that to Baba. And she straight away sort of convinced that Baba was something divine. And then through Dr. Goher, next day my mother got the appointment with Baba. And my old maid servant, the Nepalese lady, she went with her. I didn't go, I was not allowed. Later on we were allowed to go and see the ladies monthly. But we weren't allowed to go to see Baba at that time. She went alone, and Baba asked her, what is it? And she was crying and crying and crying. Said, Baba, I lost my daughter. She was so beautiful, and she had long hair. She was married to this princely estate, married to a Raja, and all that. And Baba just held her hand, said, do you believe I'm God? I can do something for you. Do you believe? And she said, yes, Baba, I trust you. So Baba said, of course, I can do anything. I'm God. And, even people who've been dead for long, I can bring them back to life. And she said, yes. So again, Baba said, do you believe me? And she said, yes, Baba, I believe it. So don't worry, I'll bring her back to life. And she said, all right, Baba. And there, Irich was standing behind Baba. And Baba gave promise to my mother that she'll bring back my sister back to life. Irich said, when she was gone, she was so happy. And she stopped crying. And she came home and she told all this about how she met Baba, and Baba is so beautiful and so, he's divine, and he's going to bring back your sister back to life. And I told Baba, but she's all gone and dead. And she said, well, for me it's nothing. Even for people who've been dead for years, I can bring them back to life. It's nothing for me. And I'm God in human form. And she told all this, and we all believed her and said, of course. And Irich at that time was really asking Baba questions. Baba, why did you do that? You've been promising all kind of things to people, but this is really terrible. And you always break your promise. And what is this? They're Rajas, and she's a Rani, and to break a promise to such distinguished people, don't think it'll be nice? So Baba said, forget it. You don't know what I've done. She wanted to hear just that, and she wanted to get my love, and she wanted to get assurance. And after all, she's not a baby, she's not a child, she's a grown-up person, and she believed it. I don't know why you questioning me. So Iris said, well, I don't know what to say to that. And Bhauji mentioned this incident in his book called Mehdarshan. It's a beautiful book. Now the whole book is being translated into English called Meher Prabhu. I think it's already published, maybe the first or two editions. So in that book, Mehdarshan, Bhauji wrote that this Rani came to Baba, her name was Mohini, and she was totally torn, emotionally torn, and so mentally disturbed. And Baba calls her, and she wanted only that, what Baba said. And then later on, years after years, she was writing to Baba, and Bhauji used to reply to the the Hindi correspondence, Hindi letters. He was in charge of that, plus he was a night watchman with Baba. So later on, when 7-8 years later, she was sitting in Guru Prasad with Baba, and Baba held her hand, and every year she would ask, when is my daughter going to come? And she said, well, you'll dream your daughter, and then she would come to you. And she said to Baba, Baba, I dreamt of her. Now do you think she's going to come? And Baba said, of course, no, she's going to come back to you. You dreamt her, I told you this is the sign. And then Baba, she was sitting next to Baba in Guru Prasad. Baba held her hand, and Baba said, do you love me more than anyone else? Even more than your own daughter? And she said, yes. And Baba was released of his promise. You want your daughter more, or you want me? And she said, Baba, I want you. And that was the end of that promise. And Nirich looked at Baba. After so many years, then Nirich understood that who can fathom Baba's ways? Who can fathom his dealing with people? He was the master psychologist. And then on the other hand, every day I would go with my parents, we sit next to this akka tree with blossoms, and Baba would pass from his house to the house where the Mandali was staying, where there was one mast who was staying there. Bhauji must have told you that story. He was in charge of looking after that mast. And every time, Bhauji thought he was a madman, and he was not very careful about it, about the mast, but still he wanted to obey Baba, and he wanted to keep him clean. But every time Baba was entering that room, he would make a mess. He would do all his business on the bed, or he would dirty everything. And Baba would say, "What kind of love you have for me? Look, this mast is sleeping in the dirt on the bed. You can't even wash his dirt." And Bhauji was get his scolding every day. And one day, Bhauji cleaned the place, he bathed the mast, and the whole room was clean. He washed his sheets, and Bhauji had just come from college that time, and he was not used to washing clothes, and he had blisters on his hands. And he said, "Oh, now Baba is going to be so happy seeing this, all the rooms so clean." And as Baba entered, the wall fell down of this house. Luckily it fell on the other side where the mast bed was. And Baba was furious. He said, "Oh, you would have killed my mast, you know. I love this mast so much, and the wall fell down. What have you done?" And Bhauji was looking. He said, "Well, how could he help? The wall fell down." So Baba used to come every day. Me, my father, my brother, my mother, we would be sitting there, and Baba used to walk so fast. Sometimes Shatrughan Kumar or Dr. Gohar would be holding an umbrella and over Baba's face, and Baba was like running. And first time my mother saw Baba walking like that, she said to all of us that, he's like God. In Hindu mythology, there are millions of gods. I think there are 16 lakhs gods and goddesses. So she said, he's like one of the gods, and he's just walking for us, because so that we don't take him as somebody like a god, but he could easily fly. And later on, she saw Baba when he really flied, because there were my mother's sister's house. My aunt had a grandson, and there was some very big ceremony, and all the family had collected, and they had huge big house with courtyards. And both my mother and her sister saw Baba going from like this on the courtyard. She saw Baba, because my aunt also loved Baba very much. And this is just to prove that when my mother saw Baba walking for the first time, like she met Baba twice, she had a private interview, but every day she was seeing Baba walking. So that impression that he could walk, Baba really showed her that. Baba was so kind. And my aunt was also completely convinced of Baba's divinity, and she also became a Baba lover along with her children and husband and all. So for months and months, we saw Baba. And we would ask Baba, "Baba, I hope you're not disturbing you sitting here." Because whenever even when we changed our time to come out and for a walk and sit over there under that tree, Baba would be coming exactly on that time. Like if we go in the morning at 11 or in the evening, we see Baba coming, and Baba walking so fast and then going into this house with the mast. So like that, it went on for months and months. And my father, being my grandfather had, in the olden days, I must give you a little bit of background. In olden days, all these Rajas, they had kind of their courtesans. So there used to be one doctor, one that herbal doctor, Ved, and one astrologer, and a musician, and all these people. And sometimes my grandfather used to have this fellow called Siddhiji. So Siddhiji was perform any miracle. He was on one of the planes, I don't know which one. And so he would ask my father when he was young, now what do you want? So my father said, I want green almonds. Now almonds are grown only in the mountains in Kashmir, and that's about 700-800 miles away from where we live. So he would just do like that, and the green almonds with leaves would be there. Some special prayers are going on, hundreds of Brahmins were fed. And then when my brother was, I think, 10 years old, I'd lost another brother. So when this was born, he was very special. When he was 10 years old, my father built a temple in his name. And there we had 21 days prayers, day and night. And then about 100 or 150 Brahmins were all over the villages and that area, and they were fed. So the whole, my father's life was full of rituals, prayers, and these kind of miracle men, saints and sadhus. Our state was very close to Hardwar. It's about 20 miles. So my grandfather, since times it was a custom that whoever passed through our state, a free blanket and some groceries, because after that there was only nothing but forest, and there were not very many shops. So these could cook, under a tree, just collect some dry wood. They won't be hungry. So, it was a beautiful gesture, and many times we would get real saints coming to our state, or coming to that castle, which is now almost 750 years old. Part of the towers are falling down. So, when my father saw Baba with all this background, he knew he was something, but he could not decide who he was. And he said, well, he's not an ordinary person. He's not like us. And what is he? He's not a saint. So many saints, so many these miracle men. He's not like one of them. And he hadn't seen God, so he couldn't say he's God. So he was quite confused in his mind who Baba is. And at that time, Baba gave out this message on the 7th of September. I'm not going to read that, it's very long. You all know that message. 7th of September 1953, message Baba gave, I am highest of the high. Everyone knows about it. Well, when the message came, like we were children, we didn't want to go through the whole message, and whatever we went through, I thought it was, if anybody wanted to come to Baba, they would just run away after reading that message. Because in that message, Baba says, I haven't come here to give you anything, not even a spirituality or God or anything. And it's a strange message. Of course, it's for the highest of the high. And people who are on certain spiritual level can grasp the meaning of that message. It's a very powerful message. I read it sometimes now, but at that time I never read it. And then since my father was going through all these rituals of prayers every morning and all that thing, he said, well, I accept Baba as highest of the high. He's divine, he's God. But how to pray? What to do to please him? We have to do some prayers in the morning. We just can't sort of not do anything and just love Baba. So that was the time when Baba gave out this prayer called Pavadiga, Master's Prayer. And during that period, Baba was making everyone read it morning and even all evening. All the Mandli people were reciting it morning and evening. And my father was thrilled with that prayer. As you all know, we all recite it once a day. It's a beautiful prayer. And he translated that prayer into Hindi. And then it was published in the Hindi magazine, Baba magazine, called Mein Pukar. And Baba was so happy to see that translation. And he blessed my father. My father was a very simple man. He had no ego like most of the other princely people had at that time. And they used to think that, oh, they rule this thing and that thing. And they've got everything and not mixed with the common people and all. He was also a member of the assembly of the legislature, like you have in your own states, they have councils and all. That, and he used to meet all the people. He would go to each and every citizen's house without any scruples. Like when the first time my grandfather, we have a small river between a big town where there's a station called Najibabad and our place, our state called Sahanpur. And sometimes the river comes into spate. The river is in spate. My grandfather used to have 2 elephants for the children going to town to climb on the elephants and cross the river. That time there was no bridge. And it used to be about 2 months during the year when we had 2 elephants, one on this side and one on the other side, taking the children or the people who were working there in town across the thing. And once my grandfather was coming from some place, I think from Delhi or someplace, and he couldn't cross the river because it was night time and the train was very late and he couldn't send anyone there. And he didn't know where to stay. And he was quite a wealthy person. At present, he owns a lot of factories over there in Najibabad. He asked my grandfather to come and spend the night there because the elephants used to go back after the day. At night time, there won't be any elephants. And when my grandfather went inside that fellow's house, his father suffered a heart attack seeing the Raja coming into his house. And he was so happy and he just collapsed. And so you can imagine how the Rajas were treated by the common men over there at that time. But my father wasn't like that because he was fighting the election. He was in the council meeting the common people and he was very sweet. When he was when we had gone to Baba's darshan, there's Sadhu Vaswani. You must have all heard his name. Sadhu Vaswani was a very nice Sindhi master and he loved Baba very much. He asked Baba to give darshan in St. Mira school. And we used to go and see Baba every year. I used to go with my parents every year from 53, 54, 55 till 65. And me and my mother, we were there. First Baba came to the Pune station. From there, the Sadhu Vaswani and his people were coming to take Baba in a procession. We were all standing in Pune station, and I told my mother that Baba is going to come from this side. And my mother said, well, how do you know? Because I said, look at this road. It looks like as if the whole road has become of gold. It was beautiful, it was lighted. My mother said, no, Baba is going to come from that side. And just then Baba came in the car, the blue car, in Meherji's car. And we all walked to this Sadhu Vaswani's place. It was a school, St. Mira school. But this Sadhu Vaswani did not expect so many people over there and so much crowd. All the Bombay people, all the Pune people had come, plus they were, like us, about 20-30 people from faraway places, like we had come from Dehra Dun and I'd come from Delhi. And there was such a crowd, and there was total chaos, and people were rushing in. There was a big hall like this. Baba was sitting like this on the chair. No, Baba could hardly go in. There were volunteers. They also couldn't control the crowd, and with great difficulty they took Baba up to inside the hall, and there was total chaos. There were window panes broken, and it was terrible. So my father did not try to get inside the hall, though he had come from so far away. But he was controlling the crowds. He was very strong at that time, and he was controlling the crowds like that and helping these. Then finally they called the police people because they couldn't control the crowds. Sadhu Vaswani's disciples had come, plus Bombay people, plus Pune Baba people, plus outsiders, plus the children and their parents, because they knew the Baba was going to come and give darshan. And all this time my father was controlling the crowds and not getting inside. And then they took Baba inside. Bhauji was locked up in one toilet, and then later on Shatrughan Kumar, he was locked up by the police. He said, "Oh, you're the people who are creating so much trouble." And there was such a confusion. Me and my mother, at that time, we were pushed from the back, and my mother was fat like I am now, and I was very thin actually. And she fell on 3-4 small kids, and they were really squeezing under her. And I was sitting next to my mother, and we sort of came right in front of Baba. Still, the crowds were creating chaos outside, trying to get in, and then Baba gave some darshan to these people. And later on, when he went outside, my father was still outside controlling the crowd. He did not exchange even a word with Baba. And somebody said, "Oh, who's this person?" And Baba was then put in the car, and Baba was going away. And just then he looked at my father, and somebody said, "Look, he did so well, he controlled the crowds. And who is he?" Then somebody said in the Malay, "Oh, he's a Raja, come from, Dehra Dun." And my Baba said, "No, he's not a Raja, he's my mast." And just then he picked up an apple and put it in my father's hand like this. And my father was so happy that he received Baba's prasad. And then we met Baba in the evening for a very short while, and then came back. Now let me tell you about this river that we have between the town and our state. That river Baba crossed in 47 or 48. Baba was on the must tour from 39 to 49, as you all know. And he contacted 2 must, one in Najibabad in the town, and one just behind our fort, our castle. And first time Baba went to see him, he ran into the forest, and Baba could not contact him. Then again, Badul was sent. Badul, you all must have heard of his name. Badul was very tall and big man, and he was given powers by Baba to control any must. That's what my mother told me. I don't know whether it's true or not. But anyway, he had something in him that could control the must. So Badul had come earlier, and Baba came with the Adi Kairani, Adi Kaka, and one other person, and Baba in a Tonga. Now Tonga is a two-wheel cart with one horse in the front, and it's quite a rickety thing. Like if there are too many people at the back, it goes like this, and if there are less people over there, it comes up like that. So you really have to keep a balance. Adi Kairani and Jack Small had come to Sahanpur when my parents were there, and Adi Kairani told this story to me. And so Baba was crossing that river, and all of a sudden this monsoon water had come, and the river was rising like that, and Baba started lifting his feet up, and as much as he would lift, the water would raise. And then in the end, Adi Kaka said, Baba, put your feet down, otherwise we'll be drowned. And Baba put his feet down like this, and as soon as the water touched Baba's feet, it started receding. And Adi Kaka told me later that this story is very similar to the story when Lord Krishna was born in the prison. And Krishna's mother, she had a boon that Krishna's uncle, Krishna mother's brother, will be killed by the 8th child of his sister. So he put his sister in prison and he killed all her children. Now Krishna was the 8th child, and since he was God incarnate, he put, when the guards of the prison, they went off to sleep. It was a dark night. It was monsoon days, and the Jamuna was in spate, that river was in spate. And Krishna's father took Krishna hiding in that thing that you clean the grains with. It's called a charge, I don't know what you call it here. It's kind of a big thing that you flap the grains into, separate it. And he hid Krishna in that, and he crossed the river, which was in spate at that time, to take Krishna to his friend's house so that his life is saved, his life will be saved. And when he put that, took this little baby in his pan kind of a thing, the river started rising. Because the river, even the nature, they want to, whenever the God takes a human form, the nature, the stone, the birds, everyone wants to get close to that divine form and wants to touch it and feel it. So the river started rising, and Krishna's father started raising that pan up on his head, and he was just about to drown because he was taking it up and up to save the baby. And then he said, now I tried my best to save this baby, but I can't. Now he will be drowned and I will be drowned. And a wave of the water came and touched Krishna's feet, and then it receded, the water receded. So it's such a beautiful story. I always remember the way Adi Kaka told me this story. And same thing happened. Of course, you know the rest of the story about Krishna. He was taken safely to his father's friend's house, and at the same night the girl was born to that friend, and the baby was exchanged, and that little baby was killed by this uncle. So same thing happened with this story, with the water, and Baba touched the feet. The water touched Baba's feet, and the water receded, and Baba was very, very happy. He came around our castle and contacted the mast, and again he came, but we did not know about Baba. He went around the castle, went around this fort. Adi Kaka and Jack Small came twice to Sahanpur, and Adi Kaka would come to Delhi. From Delhi we would go to Dehra Dun, because in March they have this very big mela, and then we would bring Adi Kaka, Jack Small to Sahanpur for another Baba meeting, because Baba had been to Sahanpur and it was such a great thing to have a Baba meeting over there, and my parents always welcomed Adi Kaka. So when Adi Kaka and all of us would be sitting in a big hall in that castle, all marble, black and white, we had all the people from the town. Jack Small would go out and ride elephants. My father had 3 elephants, and he would ask me in the morning, Kusum, can I ride the elephants? I said, of course. So my father would tell my brother would tell these elephant driver to get the elephant ready, saddle it, and Jack Small would be riding the elephant. And Adi would admonish Jack Small. He said, where were you? He said, oh, I was riding the elephants. You've come here to attend Baba meeting, so ride elephants. And Jack Small, you know, he's a lawyer and he has an answer to everything. So, so Jack Small used to tell Adi Kaka, well, I'm wearing off my elephant riding sanskars. And you won't believe me, but he was seriously negotiating to buy elephant and bring it back to California. He was talk to my brother how much it would cost, and my brother would say it doesn't cost much to buy it, but it costs a lot to feed it, to feed the animal. So every day it used to be the same story. He would get scolding from Adi Kirani. So later on, we were married on then 1st of November, Baba gave this darshan in Dehra Dun. I was there. You must have seen that film in which Baba is garlanded by so many school children, and every child wanted to garland Baba. So the principal of the school, he was a very clever fellow, he made one long garment, and there were about 50 children there holding that garment, such a long garment, and bringing it to Baba. You must have seen that movie. It's a beautiful movie. Well, in that movie, you must have seen me also walking at the back with my parents. I was very thin, so maybe you won't recognize me. Well, at that time I asked Baba, Baba, can I spread a sari when you come on to the dais to give darshan? So Baba said, okay, do it. So when Baba came, you know, in Dehra Dun we have small pebbles, and in every house, in every they have big houses and big compound. There's a lawn on one side, and where you bring the car into the porch, they have these small pebbles. So I thought Baba would be very sort of, you know, they would poke his feet. So I spread that beautiful sari. It's a magenta color sari, very thick, heavy sari, like that, and Baba walked on that. And that was I really enjoyed that. And Baba was very, very happy too. So on the 1st of November, Baba gave a very nice discourse, 1953. He also gave this discourse called The Real Darshan, about what real darshan is. And Baba said something about the suffering. Can't find the page. Yes, Baba gave a discourse about real darshan. That you seeing me in this form, that's not my real darshan. And it's a beautiful, beautiful discourse. And this other discourses that Baba gave that time, as a child, as a young girl, I wasn't very interested in that. We would just sing in front of Baba, we would just have Baba's presence and feel that Baba is looking at us. And in 62, when I sang in front of Baba, Baba just embraced me. I sang this song from Guru Nanak, Principal Niranjan Singh. He's an old Baba lover, his wife, because I have a habit of reading from a book. Even the songs that I sing every day, sometimes I forget, because when I'm singing, I get so happy and think of Baba that I forget the lines. So I told this lady, Mrs. Niranjan Singh, to please come with me and prompt the words. So she was sitting next to me, and I was sitting, like Baba's chair was like that, and I was sitting here, and I sang this song, and Baba praised so much. You all know, people who've met Baba, how he would praise you and make you feel so important. And he praised me, oh, you've got beautiful voice. And then he stopped the darshan, And he said, you know, this song was not an ordinary song. It is by a perfect master called Guru Nanak, and it is really a word of, these words are really words of God. And I was so happy. Then he embraced me, and I just fainted in his arms. So it was so beautiful. When I put my head like that in Baba's arms, on his chest, about, I think, half a second, or I don't know, half a minute, Irish was saying, oh, Kusum, Kusum, come on, get up. And he woke me up. I heard very strange sounds coming out of Baba's chest. So I asked Adi Kaka, I said, Adi Kaka, what was those sounds? And he said, oh, forget it. You don't go into these kind of things. And I said, no, but I really heard that sound. And many times people ask me what that sound like that. It was an overwhelming sound, like when you stand on a platform and a very fast train moves, like you want to get away from that sound, but you can't. And it's a very overwhelming, loud sound. So anyway, Adi Kaka just laughed and he said, forget it, don't go into these sounds and smells and all, all that thing, just love Baba. Just love Baba. Well, after the marriage, we had a very, very busy life living in Delhi, being a cosmopolitan city. We used to go to the parties and so many diplomatic parties. Then we had our own boat, sailing boat. Every weekend I go racing sailboats, won many prizes. Then we would go once a year to the camping for shooting, because my father owned a very big forest. So from childhood I used to go shooting tigers with him. So even in Delhi, my husband and myself, and we collect about 4 or 5 other couple, and we camp out in a place like this. But the camp were not like that. They were real marquees tents out in the forest and shoot tigers. And then I got very interested in trap shooting, skeet shooting, and I won. I was All India Women's Champion for 5 years in skeet and trap. So now all these things were of the world, but in everything, like when we go for a tiger shoot, I remember in 54, and I would write to Baba, Baba, if I shoot a tiger, I'll send you the skin. Please make me shoot the tiger, because there are 5, 6 of us, and whoever gets a chance gets a shot at the tiger. And at that time, Baba sent a picture of him sitting on a tiger skin to me, and I was really thrilled. Baba said, I don't need your tiger skin. And whenever I used to take part in the skeet or trap shooting championship, I would write to Baba, Baba, please make me win, make me win. And he would say, yeah, my blessings are on you. Even when I had my appendix removed, I wrote to Baba. There was a saint who had come, Sikh saint, who had come to Delhi, and my husband's family used to go to him. So I wrote to, and at that time Baba had given out this message saying to all his lovers, do not go to these saints and these masters, because you are like my lambs, and those saints and masters are like wolf, and they have all these artificial glittering lights like magic and miracles that will attract you to them, but they are not real. So just hold fast to my daman and don't go to any one of them, and just stay with me. So I would write to Baba and say, Baba, I've got this appendix problem, I get pain, can I go to this saint? My family is going. So Irich wrote back to me. I used to write in English, so Irich was used to reply to all the letters. Irich Bhai. So he wrote to me, the Baba says that I'm very happy with your love, but if you think that saint can help you to heal, you are free to go. But of course I had to go to the doctor and had the appendix removed. That saint never helped. So like these small things we would, and since I loved Baba as right from the young age and accepted Baba, I mean, we had no doubts. I had no doubts in my mind because my parents loved Baba so much that we found out whether there was any group of Baba lovers in Delhi. And we found out that there were 4 or 5 people. So both of us attended one group, and there was one man from Jabalpur, and he was talking for 2 hours and about Baba. Baba is God, Baba was Ram, Baba was Krishna, Baba was this, and I got a headache. I said, my gosh, let's go, this is very boring. Because at that time we did not know that there is a need for all the Baba lovers to tell the world that Baba is God in human form. And I said, this is really funny. Do you think there are people in this world who don't know that Baba is God? So my husband also said, yeah, let's go to the club. This is really boring stuff. And later on, in 1962, my husband built a small stall for this big show, trade fair, international trade fair, the first international trade fair that we ever had in India. That was in November, I think it was, November. And I wrote to Baba about a bookstall. By the time the God Speaks had also come into being, and all the Baba literature. We were printing Baba literature, giving it to all our friends. Of course, they weren't convinced. And anyway, he built this very beautiful kind of a cabinet, big cupboard kind of a thing, like a small cupboard, a table for people to stand, and we would take turns and give free literature, free handbill to all the people who visited this fair. And believe me, those New York Baba people, when they had the trade fair, they had a small stall. They got the idea from us. Also the Bombay, when they had this trade fair, they also had Baba's stall over there. So we were the first one to do that. And we would celebrate Baba's birthday. We would contribute and celebrate, but still nothing was sort of organized. Once a week we would go and have about 10-15 people collect on Sunday morning and just sing songs, and that was about all. Then, you see, Baba was there, so we were more interested in just going to Baba every year, bring back prasad, take gifts to Baba, get gifts from Baba, and whenever Baba gave darshan, we felt Baba was giving darshan just for me, just to me, he's looking at me. In 1962, I took a friend of mine along with me, and he was at the back of the whole group, and he said he was given banana as in a prasad, and he thought that Baba touched the peel, so he has to eat the banana whole with the peel. And as he was going to eat that, Baba stopped the darshan and said, whoever got banana, please throw away the peel, don't eat the peel. So after that he became a Baba lover, because he was thinking that he's so far back, Baba is on this stage, on this dais, and how could he know that he's there? Baba could never know that he was there. He was so insignificant. And Baba was, of course, there. When Baba used to give darshan, his eyes used to move like lightning. And each and everyone thought he was looking at you, like he's looking at me. Baba's giving this darshan for me. And as you all know, my mother used to perform Baba's Arti. I was never given a chance to come forward. I would stand behind her and, of course, sing Arti with her. And she would make those wicks with cotton wool, hundreds and hundreds and thousands of wicks all year round, till she has Baba darshan. Then she would burn them with the pure butter and perform Baba's Arti. And Baba used to be so, apprehensive that sari doesn't get caught with the flame. because they had so many, such large flame. And I would stand behind my mother and sing. And Madhusudan with his group would sing Baba's Arti, and she would be performing Baba's Arti, and Baba looked so beautiful and lovely. But in 62, what happened? Many of you have been to this East West gathering. I was wearing a orange Punjabi dress. I used to wear a lot of Punjabi dresses, the tight shirt and a salwar, orange color. And it had rained the first day. Baba came on the stage, it just poured. And Baba said, well, I'm baptizing you with my love, so don't worry, just stay on the chairs. Before that, Ramakrishnan, who was in charge of the Pune Center, and he organizes everything for Baba's darshan, was just arranging 2 rows of chairs for the Westerners and dharis, those carpets, for the Easterners. And 2 days before Baba called him, he said, what are the arrangements for seating? And he said, well, for the Westerners, we're expecting about 150 of them. Their chairs, first row, 2 rows, and then dharis, these carpets. Baba said, no, get chairs. And Ramakrishnan had almost a nervous breakdown, because generally Baba was giving darshan during summer months in Guru Prasad in Pune. But that time it was 1st, 2nd, 3rd and 4th of November, 62, for East-West gathering. And all the schools and colleges were open. And Ramakrishna used to get the chairs from these schools, because it's so easy to get the chairs from them when they're closed. So he was in a flap, he didn't know what to do. So he went right up to Bombay and Pune, Kirki and all those places to arrange for the chairs, which was because Baba knew that it was going to rain. And if those carpets were there, the Easterners, which were almost in 10,000s in numbers, where would they be sitting? Because all that would have been in slush and mud and rain. So I was sitting at the back. The marquee, the tent was leaking, and 10 minutes is poured. Baba came on the stage, and all the Westerners were sitting in the front, first 2 rows. We were in the 3rd and 4th row with my parents. And I was wearing this beautiful silk orange color suit. Madhusudan comes running to me. He said, Kusum, can you sing Arti? I said, well, of course, I can sing Arti. But what is it? What do you want me to do? He said, we are arranging to have 7 girls in 7 colors singing Arti in front of Baba. And the girl who was wearing orange suit, her clothes are all wet with the rain. So you please come on the stage. So that was really so beautiful, because that was the time when I really went up on the stage and sang in front of Baba all alone without my mother and with other 6 ladies who were wearing red, blue and all that Baba colors. And Baba allowed the Andhra group people to perform his washing of his feet according to the Vedic rituals. And Baba said, I don't believe in any rituals, but because you love me so much, I allow you to wash my feet with these Vedic rituals. So first these people washed Baba's feet with Ganges water, honey, milk, and then again with water, and then put sandalwood paste, and then we were asked to come on this stage and perform Baba's Arti. And Madhusudan said, look, don't go to Baba, because you just stand there with this plate in your hand with a lamp burning. But as soon as I went up to stage, Baba called me and embraced me and kissed me on both the cheeks. And Madhusudan was giving me dirty looks. Why did you go to Baba? I said, well, he called me, what could I do? So that was really beautiful. I don't know how we're doing with the time. How many minutes?
15 more minutes.
15 more minutes. So, would like to tell the story of my brother. My brother in high school, for 3 years he was failing. Every year he was failing. And my parents were really fed up. And he just won't pass the exam. So the third year, my mother took my brother to Baba. So my uncles and other people in the family who did not believe in Baba said, well, this year he is taking such a long journey just before the examination. He's bound to fail. Because in every year he's not, there's so many private tuitions and so many teachers coming to teach him, and this boy is not paying any attention. And he fails every year. Now his mother is taking him to Baba, and do you think Baba can make him pass the exam? So anyway, my mother took my brother to Baba. And my father hadn't come, only me and my brother and my mother. And Baba looked at my brother. He said, "You're such a nice looking boy, and you so nice, so intelligent. And what's wrong? What happens when you do your exams?" So my brother said, "Well, Baba, I know everything. I don't know what happens when I give the exams." So Baba said, "Take my name. Take my name before you write the answers." And Baba patted him on the shoulder. So my mother said, "Baba, please bless him, give him something." So Baba said, "Yes, my blessings are with you, and don't worry, and you will pass the exam." And just that time, my mother kissed Baba's feet. And I said, "Oh, my mother's kissing Baba's feet, I might as well kiss Baba's feet." So I also kissed Baba's feet. And Baba asked me, "Do you want anything? Do you want anything? You ask for it." So I said, "No, Baba, I just want your grace." And Baba was so pleased. He was so happy. So, you asked the best thing. Like many times I now resent that I should have asked for something like a Cadillac or something. But Baba was so happy. Baba was so happy. And he said, "You asked the best thing." And then 65 was the last darshan. I believe I'm given another chance tomorrow to speak. So I'll tell you those stories. This is up to 65 when Baba was giving darshans every year. Pune Center was opened in 64. 65 was the last darshan. And then after 65, what happened to the Delhi group and all of us in Delhi, I'll tell you later on. So thank you so much. Yes, if there are any questions, I won't mind. Yes, please.
How did your brother do on his exam?
Oh, he did very well. He never failed, and he became, he graduated, then he did his business management, and then when he was, there were elections after my father retired from the politics, my brother took it over, and Baba, as you know, is against politics. But my brother was the only one who he blessed. He sent a telegram, and he became one of the assembly members. Then he became a minister of irrigation. And because of him, now we have a bridge over that small river. So there is a bridge. I remember after some time we visiting my parents' place, and Mohkam, my husband, was driving through that river, and those people were shining the light from the top. That what's happening to you? There's a bridge. The bridge is open. Then we came up, and the bridge is there because he was an irrigation minister. He's still in politics, doing very well. Yes, please.
I wanted to ask, when Baba said of your father, he's not a Raja, he's a must, did he ever explain that?
No, but yes, when Baba said that he's not a Raja about my father, and Baba put an apple in his hand because my father did not have the chance to get inside the hall and sit through the darshan program. Baba said, well, he's not a Raja, he's a mast. Because my father, Baba did not explain that later, but we could all feel, as I was saying earlier, that he was a very natural and a normal kind of person. He was not like other Rajas who had a lot of ego and sort of, didn't want to mix with this and that and like to get all the importance. He would mix with everyone. And after Baba stopped giving darshans in 65, he started writing ghazals and beautiful songs in Urdu. Many of them I sing. And we are going to publish that book which my father had written, all those songs, all those ghazals about Baba. And he was totally, his consciousness was totally with Baba till the end. When he passed away, I had come from a Baba meeting in Dehra Dun. He was not well. And somebody had brought a beautiful garland of marigold. I had never seen such big marigolds, this big, beautiful garland. And when I was coming out of the meeting, they gave it to me. And I gave that to my father. And when the end came, I was holding him in my arms. I don't know how I got such a strength. He was sitting up and he started breathing very lightly. And I said, "Father, are you all right?" He said, "No, I'm not all right." So I pulled him up. I sat back, rested my back with the bed, and I pulled him up. And his shoulder was resting on my chest like this. And he was a big man. He was very tall and big. I don't know from where I got this strength to pull him up on me. And I was making him sort of, rubbing his chest. And I recited both the prayers of Baba, and I gave that garland to him, and he breathed his last with Baba's prayer in his ears. He couldn't speak. He was silent for almost 10 minutes before he passed away. And he looked so peaceful. He looked so lovely. I put that garland around him. And he was really like a very special person. Very special. Yes.
When you saw Baba, would you see him only with your family, or did you see him by yourself?
No, always with my family in Dehra Dun. As I was telling you, for months and months, Baba would cross over to that place from one house to the another. They had made a small path, a mud path, through those two houses for Baba to come across. And we would sit, and even if we changed the time, Baba would be coming that time. He was giving really his kind nazar to us. And my father would ask, "Baba, I hope we are not disturbing you." Baba said, "No, I'm very happy with your love." And later on, we used to go again with my parents, with my mother. When I was in Delhi, I was married. Baba had come to Delhi to watch a cricket game, which the Member of Parliament were playing along with Nehru. Now, Baba wanted to give, I don't know what, to Nehru. And Baba came to Delhi in incognito and was sitting in the stadium where Nehru was playing. And then later on, he gave darshan to a nearby hall, municipal hall. And Erich came to my house, to our house, Mohkam's family house. We were all living together with his parents and 4 brothers. It was a big family. And at that time, both of us had gone to Punjab, because I was recently married, and my mother-in-law wanted to take me to Punjab and show how they show off the new bride with all the jewelry and all the fineries. There was a wedding, his cousin was getting married. So I was taken over there. And my mother did not know that I would not be in Delhi. So she told Baba, she gave my telephone number and address to Baba. And Erich came to our house and looking for both of us, and me especially. And I wasn't there. So when Baba went back to Dehra Dun, Baba said to my mother, for 15 minutes I waited for your daughter. So just before we were leaving, my mother was saying, Baba waited for you 15 minutes. You're so special. I said, "Oh, what is there?" But Baba mentioned it to my mother that he did not see me in Delhi, because maybe I was to have Baba's contact from Dehra Dun and also from Pune and Mehrabad, but not from Delhi. Because whenever I go to Dehra Dun, the whole Dehra Dun group says, you are from Dehra Dun, now don't sit with Delhi group. And Delhi group says, no, you're with Delhi. You sit with us, you can't sit with Dehra Dun group. So there's always a tussle. And when I'm in Mehrabad, Bhauji's wife, Prama, she asked me to play the harmonium and sing with her. And when the Bombay group comes, he said, please come and sing with us. So, like this, there always a tussle. But I think I got my contact, I got my first darshan of Baba from Dehra Dun. And Baba wants me to keep association with Dehra Dun. And also, wherever I go, like I would rather sing than talk. But now for last 3-4 years, people ask me to talk. I always mention Dehra Dun and my parents. Because I think that's where, and that's how I came to Baba. Thank you. Thank you.